I looking good?
Yes. So, what is the video we are watching today?
I have the name in Russian. Когда время стало историей. Эра человечества.
No. In English?
Okay, I need your help.
I can't help you because I can't read
the
it.
era of humanity when time became a history. I hope I
Something about
translated it
humans
correctly.
and time, and let's get started. Let's just start watching it. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Okay, now we're ready.
Now I'm ready.
So?
And can I...
Hold on.
What? Please, I want to press a button.
She wants to press play. Okay, you can press play.
Imagine someone coming into your kitchen and taking a few tools, a pan, and your garbage. Then they bury everything in the woods. 12,000 years later, an archaeologist is trying to figure out who you were, what was important to you,
Oh
what
my
video
God, the
games you
minion.
played, what you believed in, and what
Hey, it's
informed
E.T.
your decisions. Because you
I'm
happened
Mr.
to
T.
live during a remarkable
Oh
time
my
in human history. The planetary revolution, when humanity transitioned, becoming a multi-planetary species. In that time,
Elon Musk.
our numbers
He's
would
gonna make it happen.
explode by orders of magnitude.
You know what I'm
Our
dreaming
technology
about?
and standard of living would
What if one day we will live in the moon? Like, actually, like, I will have a cafe.
You'll have a cafe, a moon cafe.
Yeah. And it,
Imagine having a moon cake on the moon. But honestly, like, the moon is not very habitable. It's not a very habitable place. I'm
One
sorry,
day.
guys.
One day when our utensil became an archaeological disaster. Okay.
Yes.
Weird disaster.
move to levels previously thought impossible, and our self-conception would change forever. And all the future archaeologist has to learn about is your junk in the woods. While we can only hope that this will be someone's problem in 12,000 years, we have the same problem today.
That is what I was thinking
We're
of.
trying to reconstruct a revolution that took place 12,000 years ago. Today, only
I
shadows
do
remain of the
Although-
people who experienced our
When I
distant
just,
past
see
as
some
their
Although-
ancient buildings. I'm sorry.
Can I just say one thing?
Yeah.
The thing is they didn't have like really any recorded history.
Mm-hmm.
That's the difference. Is we have a lot of recorded history, so they could watch videos.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, maybe they won't have the ability because they'll be so far advanced that they just will forget about that technology. Like,
They're just like computer.
yeah,
What
or
is
like
this?
yeah, it's like little kids like trying to use like a a VHS. They're like, it's just like, you know, they could just break it, throw it on the ground.
That's
It's just plastic.
sad because actually I do remember the time when there was like, you know, a cassette and you have to like take a pencil, go it through the cassette. Okay, you don't even know what I'm
I do
talking
know.
about.
I use my finger though, so it's
present.
better.
What remains from our past? We can look at our present in crispy 4K in color and sound. 3 generations ago, the world was just black and white. One more generation and we see the world through blurred photographs. Further back, paintings and texts become our main way of experiencing the past. A mere 20 generations before us today, every written word had to be copied by hand, and reports became more scarce and less reliable. The first
Printing
historian
press.
lived a mere 100
That's how you can
generations ago.
just change the history. You can
Before
just-
him, there are only
write
epics
another book.
and legends,
Yeah.
and dead kings bragging on pieces of stone. 250 generations ago, there are only fragments left in the ground and images stripped of their original meaning.
That's
Eventually,
another thing to think
humanity-
about is how many things do we find that we just assume we know what they were for. We have no idea really. Like, we assume we know what a necklace was. When what if it wasn't a necklace? What if it was like, you know, a piece of art that was like meant to look like a snake or something?
Maybe we really actually don't know what is the mentality of the people that was creating all this stuff, you know. Even just the pyramids, okay, we assume it's a place to...
Well, the pyramids, we know they were like tombs because...
Who
But maybe they
knows?
weren't constructed for tombs. Actually, well, we have a little bit of knowledge because we figured out how to read hieroglyphs because of the Rosetta Stone. But before, everything was speculation. So nowadays, it's a little bit less speculation, but there's still like a lot we don't know about it.
Okay, actually, Elon Musk, please make a Neuralink as fast as possible so we can just record all the memories, and when we will find them...
But what if we record the memories in the VHS format and then...
okay.
I just feel like we
Calm
don't
down.
care about it. Okay, no more.
He becomes basically invisible. Still, we do know some things about our
Yeah, that's an
ancestors.
evidence.
Let's try to tell their story and what it means for us today. The greatest transition in human history. For some 2 million years, or roughly 80,000 generations, the life of our ancestors was basically the same. It was around 20,000 years, or 800 generations ago, that the behaviorally modern humans began a process that would change our lifestyle forever. At first, gradually, for some of us, then faster for more of us, and then suddenly for almost all of us. Back then, there were about 1
Agriculture.
million modern
Especially for us.
humans on Earth. Most other human species had died out, probably with a little help from us. Our ancestors' biology had given them the necessary tools.
One thing to think about is when humans actually started evolving, the reason why we survived was because we were like much more adaptable than the others, because we merged with different species of humans or different species of ancient ancestors. So like if we went to like the mountains, we would merge with the mountain people, and then we'd be like, oh, now we can survive in the mountains and not in the mountains.
Okay.
Just
Too complex for me.
Random stuff.
A general intelligence to understand things, a social intelligence to understand each other, and language to express abstract ideas and create new concepts. These were people just like you. They suffered and experienced joy, were bored, cried and laughed. They lived in
Gossip.
communities of a few dozen people. They controlled fire and had tools made from wood, stone and bone, told stories, mourned their dead, and created art. They traded with other tribes, from obsidian to shellfish. Some hunted big game and were very mobile. Others relied more on plants they collected, and others mostly stayed in one area with an abundance of seafood.
Kurzgesagt, it looked like it's a beautiful life.
Yeah,
Just like
exactly.
Living in the nature, collecting
But
non-GMO products.
well, I mean, they would definitely be eating GMO apples if they were living today. But
That's true.
the thing that is like amazing is Kurzgesagt's ability to tell the story in such a beautiful way. Like,
Yeah.
you can know all these facts, but to get someone to like watch it and to really like, I guess, see it as beautiful is actually a beautiful thing.
What I really like is just maybe the beauty around it. It's kind of have like story, small stories connected in a big story. But I'm trying to understand what is the whole video is about. And right now I can see that they're leading us through the history.
Yeah.
But what they're trying to tell.
Just trying to show us the history, maybe. The history of how humans became...
This was the common state of humanity for most of our history, until a slow transition, step by step, turned into a revolution.
exponential.
Step by step.
Hey, nice gecko.
The first solid evidence for this stems from the Jordan Valley, where our ancestors collected wild wheat more than 20,000 years ago. They noticed that seeds in the ground made more plants the next year. If they put good ones in one place, the next year they had more of the good ones. This was a great supplement to hunting and gathering. You could prepare some crops, return next year, build a temporary...
I also have a video about the history of like how civilization came about, so that's what she's talking about, but yeah.
Yeah, I just I saw the story coming along and I'm like, hey,
I like how they went like, you know, forward, and then they went back to the how it all started with farming.
Resettlement and have a secure food
But it's
supply.
not agriculture yet. It's just
Our
like
ancestors
planting.
used these bonus crops to bake the first bread and brew the first beer. With every generation, they gathered deeper knowledge about the plants and animals around them and how to manipulate them to their advantage.
That's
But there
how
was a
the
lot to learn.
coronavirus appeared, baby.
What?
Have you seen the chicken near the food? Like
It's more like mixing chickens with other animals and, you know, having them poop and stuff kind of mixing around. That's because then a virus can adapt
I
rapidly
know, but
and
just
go
like
from host to
Kurzgesagt,
host.
why you put it in chicken with the food?
Baby, we eat
Very
chicken.
slowly, from
Hygiene,
generation to generation,
hygiene.
pockets
She's-
of knowledge expanded
she's crazy.
and were passed along to be expanded again. This early agriculture started to drastically reduce the space our ancestors needed to feed one individual, which made it possible to stay in one place longer. Around 12,000 years ago, these little pieces of progress had reached a critical mass. Most of the calories we consume today stem from about 15 different founder crops that humans began to domesticate in earnest in the next few thousand years. What we call the agricultural revolution was not a thing that began suddenly one day. It was a slow process driven by small groups over many generations. Eventually, gradual change gave rise to a new era. The human era. During the next few thousand years, progress would speed up and turn hunter-gatherers into farmers who lived in villages, towns, and then cities. When farmers moved into new areas, they replaced the nomadic tribes or turned them into farmers too. This was neither easy nor painless. In the early days, people had a diverse diet made up of up to 250 different plants and animals. For some of the
Now
groups
it's just
transitioning
one.
to agriculture, the variation in their diets declined drastically,
Yeah.
and some even seem to have been
Yeah,
undernourished.
I really like.
And
I really appreciate that they're talking now about the climate change and how, like, you know, yes, we have to develop farming because it's just like the diet, the possibility just to stay in one place. But you know, because my culture is nomadic,
Yeah.
and like
She's
the land,
Kazakh, by the way. Borat.
Kazakhstan.
Okay, go. No, just continue.
Okay, I still love you. So, Kazakhstan is a very beautiful country, and
It
we
is.
was like for thousands of years we was nomads, and still it's kind of I can feel this around, and I can see how the climate, okay, not climate, the nature around is changing because when you farm, when you stay at one place, you have to provide the water supply, you have to turn the river sometimes, you have to use more resources from the land. And I can see how the surrounding land near my city, Almaty, by the way, hi, everybody who's from Almaty, and it's actually dramatic change, and it leads to devastation sometimes, to more desertification in other areas where people are not living, you know.
Yeah.
And before it was much more diversity in
Yeah, I mean,
animal
when you, I think
species
it's also the
and-
way they treat the soil, because, like, they constantly are digging up the soil and then planting new seeds. A lot of the problems come because of machines, because, like, you know, if you constantly are digging up the soil, then you're breaking up the topsoil. It's like the best way to plant is to not actually dig up the soil. So I think that there's a lot we have to learn about how to farm.
I agree. So there is a lot of
Permaculture is an incredible
Yeah.
like, kind of development.
so just like a lot of advantages, but also a lot of like side effects.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
And-
we wouldn't be able to feed all the humans we have if we didn't have farming. And so it's like a double-edged sword.
But also, I really like. Can you like look at the story? You see how it was green before.
This is our story.
Yes, I know, I agree. But
Yeah.
I mean, like the Kurzgesagt. even the
Yeah.
colors are changing, showing you how hot is it right now. That it's
Did
more
he mention
dressed.
climate change in this?
Yeah, just recently.
Oh, I didn't hear about. Okay, let's continue.
Living close together and with animals created a breeding ground for disease.
Mhm.
Virtually every infectious disease caused by microorganisms that have adapted to humans arose in the last 10,000 years. Cholera, smallpox, measles, influenza, chickenpox, and malaria. Mortality, especially among children, rose drastically. Still, our numbers grew because living in the same place enabled women to bear far more children than before, and for a farmer, more kids mean more hands to work the fields. Even with more people dying younger, villages and towns grew. The number of humans on Earth exploded. About 100 generations after the beginning of the human era, there were already 4 million of us. This increased the need for food and forced people to come up with ever more efficient ways of producing calories, solidifying our new lifestyle.
Technology.
Going back to hunting and gathering would have just meant death by starvation for most.
Yeah,
One
that's
question-
one thing that like doesn't make sense when people say we should just all go back to the forest. That's not possible. That's not possible now. We have way too many people that we like. You would have to pretty much kill the majority of people if you wanted to make it so we could actually live in the forest. Yeah, it's definitely healthier, and I think being around nature is like super important for the soul and the heart and the spirit. But not everyone can live in the forest.
So again, we need just one more planet. Yeah.
Well, not only we need, I think that the best way to like solve our problems is just continue innovating. Like there's not really like maybe incentivize things that are more sustainable. Like, you know, businesses are just going to be trying to make money. That's like not a bad thing. It's just how it works because they need to increase profits so they can make the next thing they need. But if you incentivize them to make things like, you know, like electric cars or like solar panels, then it obviously is good for business. And it's like, you know, it can make money. The problem is when
Make
you
money and more
incentivize
people.
things that are not like good for the world. So,
Okay, I really want to watch because I want to understand if they provide any solutions, alternatives.
remains unanswered. Why? Why would people exchange the freedom of living off nature with a huge variety in food for the grind of agriculture and often more limited diets? Nobody knows for sure. Climate change seems to have made the transition possible, and some scientists argue that it was caused by external factors like undernourishment or overpopulation, both highly contested. Today, the most widely accepted idea is that it was a deliberate choice made by countless communities around the globe.
I mean, if you want
Maybe
more
it's
people,
also connected with what makes us human, the ability to come together, develop shared identities, and exchange stories and knowledge. Some archaeologists
The
think
story's
that
happening
groups
right
of
now.
hunter-gatherers traveled long and far to celebrate, to hold feasts and rituals. They would have used these occasions to talk about their version of innovation, better hunting and tool-making techniques, how to catch and breed animals, and which plants could be collected and multiplied. Maybe they even exchanged seeds. It's not unlikely that these gatherings were the catalyst that spread the knowledge of agriculture through the many isolated groups of humanity, ultimately ending a lifestyle that was common to our species for thousands of generations. So by being able to come together, celebrate, share, and learn from one another, these humans might have taken the steps that led to our modern world, and we have much to be grateful for.
yeah.
We are still
One thing is, like, the more people you have, the more ideas you have. And the more ideas you have, the more you want to innovate. The more you're going to try and build more things. And, like, I think, like, it's true, we want ideas to spread. But ideas, in terms of, like, inventions and innovations, it's not the only type of ideas. Ideas can be in the form of storytelling, philosophy, all these things. And the more
Spiritual,
people you
yes.
have, yeah, like, the more people you have that can think about different things, it's going to be like people specialize in different things and then bring that knowledge to the greater public.
Like Kurzgesagt.
Kurzgesagt is a great example.
And actually everybody.
Everyone has things they know more than anyone. Like, it
And
just
they can
depends
share
on
about
what
it.
people spend their time doing, what people care about. And yeah, that's how the world progresses.
Same humans today, even if it often doesn't feel that way. Maybe it's time to come together to share what we know and celebrate our existence once again, to begin another peaceful transition. Maybe the planetary revolution that will change everything once more. So, hopefully, in another 12,000 years, our descendants will look back on us today with gratitude for the amazing world they are able to inhabit.
It's a beautiful
To celebrate the
imagination.
achievements of our ancestors in the last
We
12,000 years,
celebrate our
and to look with
ancestors,
hope
so-
towards the next 12,000, we present you with the 5th Human Era calendar for the year 12,021. This time, it's all about the journey of humanity. Beginning tens of thousands of years ago, leading into the revolution of agriculture, to ancient high
I loved their video when they went through the history of civilization, because they started at 12,000. So they just said add 10,000 years to the calendar, and that's a more accurate human calendar, because about 12,000 years ago is when we're pretty sure, like, you know, the first civilizations appeared. I mean, there's obviously some people who disagree, but in general, it's adding 10,000 years. It's a pretty easy thing to do, and it gives you like a very easy way to think, okay, when did civilization start, and have like a good timeline in your head.
I didn't know
You
this.
just add 10,000 years.
Okay, that's interesting. Now it makes sense for me. Like, why
Yeah,
here
that's-
12,000?
But yeah, Kurzgesagt is incredible. They have such a beautiful way of explaining how things work, but also showing it visually, and like,
I'm jealous in it. Sometimes I think you love them more than me.
I'm inspired by them.
That's true.
Yeah, it makes me want to create stuff.
Okay, for me, first I want to watch more. I definitely want to watch more. It's my second video, and I love it, and thank you.
You watched some of their other ones, though.
Oh, the coronavirus video.
The coronavirus video, of
Okay.
course, everyone's
Obviously.
seen the coronavirus. If you haven't, watch it. I'm serious.
Yeah. Is there
So-
anything else?
Wait, it's just him.
Civilizations
I
and
think
the
it's just him
beginning of
talking
modern
about.
times, culminating
the
in a
calendar.
vision for our future. You can get the
I'm
limited
kind
edition
of
now
just like,
until we set
hoping
out,
that they
and then never
surprisingly
again.
have something else.
As always, the calendar features 12 illustrated pages
No,
printed
I
on
mean,
high-quality
this is their
paper in
ad.
Europe and the US.
But honestly,
and this year,
support
the
them
cover
because
is
they're
especially
incredible.
shiny.
so
Not only does the calendar look great on walls and makes it easy
think
to
the world
dream about
needs
a glorious
more
future and realize
inspiring
how far we've come
education.
as a species,
Education
it's also
is
the best way
one of
to
those things
support
that,
Kurzgesagt.
I mean, at
The
least
calendar enables us to put
at least in
the time our
America,
videos need and release
education
them for free
is
for
like-
everyone. If you want, you can get the calendar with
okay,
a
in the
hoodie
whole
or
world,
infographic
education
posters or
education
plushie.
shit.
We've made a few
Because
deals for
really, you need to inspire people to like dive down into their curiosities, dive down into things that like are the least resistance for them. But the way like most education is, it's like you have to decide what you want to do, and then basically follow that track throughout your life. But really, you have no idea what you want to do when you're young. So if people could just foster child's curiosities, let them kind of go their own direction, and then find a way that they can, you know, like kind of direct them into something related to their interests already, I think the majority of humans would be much happier.
I cannot disagree, but it's very complex topic.
It is. But I think there's a revolution that's going to be happening in education. I think Kurzgesagt is part of it. I think I would like to be part of it. But, yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. Well, this was
These were the
Jean
and Harrison.
And
Fourth?
CuriAWEsity. Subscribe. If you enjoyed it, leave some comments. tell us we suck, or
Press
tell
the
us
button.
we are
Press
great.
the button.
Subscribe.
Here.
I don't know where it is, but it's somewhere outside of the screen, or on the screen actually. Yeah, like somewhere. Oh no, it's.
Press the button.
Okay, guys.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Keep your curiosity alive.